Magic mushrooms, also known as psilocybin mushrooms, contain a psychoactive chemical after which they're named, psilocybin. If ingested, these mushrooms produce a psychedelic effect similar to that of LSD, including vivid hallucinations and an altered perception of time and space, giving the user a sense of being one, and at harmony with the world around them. Psilocybin mushrooms have been and continue to be used within indigenous cultures in religious, divinatory, or spiritual contexts. They may be depicted in Stone Age rock art in Africa and Europe. Prehistoric rock art near Villa del Humo in Spain offers a hypothesis that psilocybe hispanica was used in religious rituals as far back as 6,000 years ago. But they are most famously represented in the pre-Columbian sculptures and glyphs seen throughout North, Central, and South America. With the Aztec name for the psilocybin mushrooms truly translating to divine mushroom, it's believed these mushrooms were served at the coronation of the Aztec ruler Moctezuma II, in 1502. Nowadays, these spiritual magical fungi, while still mostly illegal, are mostly used recreationally. Yet, recent studies have revealed that these mushrooms can help in relieving, among many other ailments, depression, and anxiety. Due to this, some US locations have just now started decriminalizing their medicinal use, including some cities in California, and the state of Oregon. However, even when taken under a physician's care, psilocybin mushrooms can still be extremely dangerous, causing what is known as the bad trip, where instead of experiencing pleasant hallucinations and feeling good, you could start to visualize or hear something absolutely frightening, with your worst nightmares becoming your temporary reality. So today, here, on Interstellar Happenings, we'll be taking a look at one man's recent horrific encounter with the drug that landed him in the ICU, and one more reason to just say no. According to a report in the Journal of the Academy of Consultation Liaison Psychiatry, a 30-year-old man's family brought him to a Nebraska emergency room after they noticed he seemed confused and disoriented. The man, only known as Mr. X, was addicted to opioids and had been suffering from bipolar disorder. After halting all his medications, the man plunged himself into a severe deep depression. It was when Mr. X hit rock bottom, he discovered that magic mushrooms can sometimes be used in psychotherapy. When suddenly an idea struck him: if opioids had failed to make him feel better, perhaps maybe mushrooms would do the trick. However, the man decided that the mainstream way of consuming mushroom tea wasn't for him. Instead, he fell back into his opioid addiction habits. Acquiring some magical fungi, the man prepared a tea, which is one way that recreational drug users ingest their psychoactive chemicals. However, the man didn't stop just there. After preparing the tea, he filtered the liquid through a cotton swab, and then injected the substance directly into his bloodstream. And that's when his troubles began. Following the injection, Mr. X started quickly developing numerous health issues. A couple of days later, the man started to become overly tired, vomiting blood, and developing jaundice, diarrhea, and nausea. When his family visited him a few days later, they discovered the man was on the verge of death, with his heart rate through the roof and in septic shock. After he was admitted to the hospital, the doctors found he had a liver injury, his kidneys weren't functioning properly, and he had started to go into organ failure. That's when the doctors noticed something unusual, that at least part of his health problems was being caused by strange clots discovered in his veins. After drawing blood samples, the doctors were stunned to reveal the full horror of the situation. The magic mushrooms, which thrive in dark places, had taken root in the man's veins and were now literally growing in the man's bloodstream, feeding off him. Soon after this discovery, the man suffered acute respiratory failure and was immediately put on a ventilator to breathe, and had his blood filtered for toxins, using antibacterial and antifungal drugs. 22 days later, including 8 in the ICU, the man luckily began to recover and did eventually pull through, being discharged from the hospital to continue his recovery from home. Undergoing treatment and a long-term course of antimicrobials, which he was prescribed to continue taking for the long term. Even stranger than this story, oddly enough, this actually wasn't the first known case of someone injecting mushrooms into their bloodstream. During their research, doctors unearthed a case report from 1985, which noted 2 similar cases. As with the current case, the 1985 case featured another 30-year-old man who became sick post-injection, though he recovered quickly after receiving medical attention. So what do you think of Mr. X's near-death experience? Comment below and let me know your thoughts on this, pardon the pun, highly shocking story. And don't forget, if you like this video, subscribe now for all my videos, and more interstellar happenings.